Hi! Here I am after a million years. I know it's been a while since I filmed a video, and in that time apparently I've forgotten how to speak in front of a camera, so bear with me, this is going to be a very jittery video. So today I have a bunch of Makeup Revolution products that I've picked up and I tried them out for you on camera. I'm currently wearing it on my face right now. So if you want to see these palettes and if you want to see me use one of these palettes on my eyes today, then stay tuned for the video. Right, so I'm trying out as kind of a new setup at the moment, so if things look and sound a little bit weird, just bear with me, I'm experimenting. Anyway, so we're gonna start off by moisturizing as always. This is the Body Shop Hemp Face Protector. So I actually picked up this Revolution Pro Radiant Peach Primer. It's a brightening primer. I don't know if it's a correcting one or an illuminating one. It looks pretty peach and it's quite runny. So I'm just going to put it all over my face. I do have a lot of hyperpigmentation. Well, it's brightened this side of my face. It hasn't really colour corrected anything. I would still want to go in and colour correct my under eyes and around my mouth. But today I'm not going to. I'm just going to skip that because we want to see how the foundations cover. So I'm going to carry on and do the other side of my face. As always, I'm always doing this in a rush. And I have places to go. So I want to look presentable, you know. This is quite lightweight. I'm kind of glad it hasn't got any coverage to it or like a real orange overall tint, because if that were the case I would just target it in those areas. So it's just an overall brightness and I notice it. I don't know if you do. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. So it just feels not tacky, but just lightly moisturized. Okay, so I did pick up the full cover Camouflage foundations. I got it in the shades 10 and 12. This is the same, I got the same shades in the stick foundation, and I also picked up the foundation drops in F10 and F12. And usually what I have to do is either mix them together or use just F12 all over my face and then highlight under my eyes. I can't split this in two videos, so what I'm going to do is use F12 on this side, this full cover Camouflage foundation, F12 on this side, and then I'm going to use the F10 just to highlight under my eyes, and then use the foundation drops on this side and do the same thing. So the bottom three here are in the shade F12 and the top three are in the shade F10. So this is the full cover foundation, this is the drop foundation, and this is the foundation stick. This is F10 full coverage foundation, the drop foundation, and the stick. So you can see there's some variation in the tone of the undertone of the drop foundation. So that's this one, slightly more pinkier, and the same with this one. I'm going to start with F12 then on this side. I'm using the Beauty Blender for this on both sides. Well, bearing in mind that the Beauty Blender does shear this out a little bit, that first layer, I'm not mad at the coverage. Yeah, so I'm going to add a little bit more around my chin and under my eye, because that's where I need the most coverage. I'm quite happy with this shade. F12 across the board has been pretty consistent so far. And when I say that, I mean the stick foundation, conceal and define concealers, these ones, and now this coverage foundation. Okay, so then I'm going to go in with the F12 foundation drops on this side. I'm going to put a couple of drops on the back of my hand. This one is a lot more runny and it's more of a lightweight consistency and coverage, so it's nice to have the two options. So I'm using the other side of the beauty blender. I think if you layer this, the foundation drops, you can build up the coverage, which is nice. I would say this one would be ideal, probably like for the summer months, for spring when you want a more lightweight foundation. And then the coverage foundation, I'm quite happy with the coverage. Is it full coverage? Probably medium. The finish right now, because it hasn't quite settled in yet, it looks quite similar. I think I prefer the foundation drops, if I'm honest. So what I'm going to do now is go under my eyes with the lighter F10 of both foundations, just to highlight. So I actually think the F10 coverage foundation, this would be good as a concealer if it was real full coverage. I wouldn't say it's as full coverage as the conceal and define concealers. But then I don't think the concealers are heavy duty full coverage either. I still think one layer and one application is your medium to full coverage. That's not bad, you know? Look at that coverage. Some concealers don't even give this much coverage, so yeah. The only thing I would say, although I prefer the finish, I think, and the look on the skin of the foundation drops, it's just a bit more faff to, you know, get the pipette out, put it on your hand, I like the hassle-free of the tubes. These are more travel friendly, but these I would say is probably more everyday wear personally. So this is just giving me a nice brightening effect, but there's not really much more coverage to this F10 compared to this F10. So what I'm going to do now is just set the rest of my face, put bronzer on, and then we'll move on to the eyes and I'll show you the palettes that I got. I went and got a bunch of the new Revolution Pro eye palettes. They were having a 3 for 2 offer at Superdrug, as they do most of the time, and I thought I'll take full advantage of it. So here's the palettes that I got. So this beautiful thing, this is called the Mirage palette. This is the Goldmine palette. This is the Restoration palette. This is the Unleashed palette. This is the palette that everyone's got already, and this is the Trends Mischief Mattes palette. Great one to have. Well, they're all great to have, aren't they? And this one will look very familiar. This is the Revelation palette. So obviously Makeup Revolution, Revolution Pro, I Heart Makeup, all of those brands, they're well known for duping other makeup brands, And this one very much reminds me of Huda Beauty palette. What is the first one called? The Huda Beauty palette. The first one. I don't own it, but I do own another dupe, which is also from Makeup Revolution / iHeart Makeup. And it's this one, which is the Chocolate Rose Gold palette in this packaging. This is what it looks like, just so you can compare the two. So although this one has a lot of similar shades to the Huda Beauty palette, this is like a straight up dupe. So I can't wait to use this one. I think of all of these palettes that I picked up, this is probably one of my favorites. And then I love the look of the Mirage palette. Obviously this one, all of them really. And then this one, I haven't got anything like this. There's a lot of purples and plummy tones to this one, the Unleashed. And then this one, the Restoration palette, is very similar to another one. Well, it reminds me of the ABH Modern Renaissance palette, which I also have a dupe for, and it's also in rose gold packaging. This one is called the Chocolate Elixir from iHeart Makeup, and that's what it looks like. There is definitely some overlap, and I'm sure you can create similar looks with either of these palettes. I'm not looking to go professional with my makeup, but a lot of people are asking me to do their makeup, and I'm finding it hard to keep saying no. So what I might do is, I like the fact that the lid is clear, so when you want to grab a palette, you know exactly which one you're going for. So I like that. It doesn't have a mirror, which is fine. You only need one mirror. These all have mirrors, so these are good for personal use, I would say. And these, as the name suggests, Revolution Pro, they are good for people who are professional makeup artists. But I'm not saying I'm a professional makeup artist. I just think it's good to have a range of colours when someone asks you to do their makeup. So I will probably end up giving these away to somebody. Lucky you. I don't know which palette to use today. I feel like everyone and their mama is using this one, so I'm going to skip that today. So I might go for this one, which is the Mirage palette, which is a lot of warm tones and very everyday appropriate. So I haven't done any extra prep to my eyelids. All I did, this is just the foundation that I got from before, and I'm just going to quickly set it with Flawless. I like the fact that these have got names at the front. You don't have to, you know, there's not a separate sleeve, it's not on the back, it's just on the front, and I can just be like, yeah, I'm using Flawless from the Mirage palette. Boom. There's always a bit of kickback on the powder. One thing I've noticed is I always forget to highlight my brow bone and inner corner, so I'm going to get into the habit of doing that first so I don't forget. I'm going to pick up Awaken. That's quite a sparkly one. I kind of wish there was a lighter shade that wasn't so sparkly. Yeah, it's kind of got chunky glitters in this one, so that will probably work better as a lid shade. I'm gonna go in with Provoked, this one. This one is easy to build up. I mean, look at that pigment. They're always quite powdery, but the pigment and blendability is always there. I like the fact that this isn't just an all orangey red kind of palette. There's purples in there as well. Oh, let's go for Thrill. By the way, none of my brushes are clean. and this is why I could never be a professional makeup artist. I just don't have the discipline. And I'm just going to blend out with my first brush. I'm going to keep this an all matte look. I don't want to go for any sparkly right now. Like I said a million times before, I need to go out in about an hour. I might just go back in with Flawless, the first shade that I used, and then I'm going to do what most people do. I just use a little bit of concealer. Okay, so I'm going to go over that with Flawless, the first shade that I used, with a flat shader brush. So much powder coming up here. By the way, this is not a makeup tutorial. This is a complete mess. This is just a first impressions. Although I said those shadows were powdery, I just tapped off the excess, put it on my lid, and I have no fallout at all. There's always a way around those powdery shadows. And then I'm just gonna go onto the lower lash line with Conceited, this one. I'm going to use the shade Corrupt and just use it as a liner on my upper lash line. Okay, so I've just finished off my face by putting on some mascara, and on my lips I'm wearing the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit in Give Me Mocha. So my final thoughts on the foundation. So the foundation drops, I really like these. I was expecting a very sheer coverage. I would say it's medium, and it is buildable, and it is definitely a foundation that I will be reaching for during the summer, especially when you really don't want to be caking on that foundation. I like the feel of this on the skin. I have it on this side of my face right now. So even though I didn't use a colour corrector under my eyes, I did go in with this primer, but it didn't have that much colour to it, enough to colour correct my under eyes and around my mouth. It doesn't look grey or ashy around my mouth or under my eyes for either foundation, for the drop foundation or the full cover foundation. So I'm happy about that. Overall, what I would say is, yes, these are Revolution Pro products, so they're more geared towards makeup artists, but the shade range is the same as the foundation sticks. These Revolution Pro palettes are the stars of the show, and if they keep releasing them, I'm going to have to keep buying them, but I'm going to keep waiting for the 3 for 2 offer at Superdrug. It's typical of Makeup Revolution eyeshadows. They're very pigmented, easy to blend, but they are powdery. So if you don't tap off your brush, expect fallout. That's your own fault for not knowing how to use them. I would say the quality is still the same, so I understand why the price point is the same. So let me know which one of these palettes you want me to use in my next tutorial, whenever that might be. So I figured out how to light my face at the end of recording this video. What joy! Please subscribe if you haven't already. Bear with me, and hopefully I'll churn out some more videos for you. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.